Yo, what is up, world? This is Red coming at you with the first live episode of Topic of Bees. Now, Topic of Bees, it is supposed to be any topic you guys come up with that you want to discuss. I'm going to give the title of that topic of B, and we're gonna chat about it. Now, I don't know everything, and I might not even know a lot of things, but I got experience in all of these different areas. I got life experiences. I've done a few episodes as I'm trying to get into this podcast, but they were all just me speaking. I'm going to try and figure out how to do the video stuff and do all that. I've already talked about Jesus. I've already talked about ball. I've talked about bourbon and beer. Today's episode is entitled Baby Daddy. Now, when you hear the term baby daddy, everybody gets all up in arms and they're like, oh, what are we talking about here? We're talking about this guy that goes out here and he's just sleeping with all these women and it's a conquest, this, that, and forth. No. We're talking about baby daddy. We're talking about a father to a child. Because that is what I am. I am a father to not one, but two children. Two under two, actually. I want to talk to you about the perspective from a father's side of things. You hear all the mothers and their side and everything that goes on with them. I want to talk to you about how to look at things from a father's standpoint. At any time, if you guys want a message, if you guys want to call in, we can figure out the call and stuff. But if you want to shoot a message, shoot a comment, I don't care, positive or negative, any feedback. You want me to answer something, I'll do that. I just want to see how we can go about this, how I can give this a try, how it'll work. And I just want to chat with you. I want to keep it a buck with you, be real with you. So let's start with the process of becoming a father. And obviously, everyone knows those processes, but I'm talking about the process of even thinking about wanting to have a kid. Now, I'm married, and the wife and I, we talked about having kids, and we planned this to the T. Like, obviously, there's prayer involved because I am a believer, and I want you guys to know that right off rip, I am a believer of Christ. But there's prayer involved, and we decided to just be ready, be open to what the Lord has to offer us. So we prayed, we planned, and we got to have our first child probably within, I think we got pregnant within 2 months of actually trying. So that's pretty cool. So that happened. Now let's talk about the pregnancy. Again, everyone knows that the woman has all these appointments and they go through a lot of emotional changes, body changes. Some of them have the food aversions, all that stuff. But let's talk about dad for a minute. Let's talk about, for myself, being the supporting role as a husband, being involved with the baby, etc. So, as a husband, you find out that you're pregnant, and you're all excited, and you're wondering, what is it that I'm about to have to deal with? Well, support. That's the biggest thing that you're going to have to do as a husband. Like for me, I had to acknowledge everything that my wife needed. My wife was emotional, feeling sad. I have to acknowledge that. My wife can't do something. I have to acknowledge that and try to help. My wife wants specific foods or whatever. Like, I gotta acknowledge that and try to do it. So I'm gonna talk to you specifics about my experience. Man, so my wife got pregnant and we were super excited, and obviously We go to our appointment, and you figure out that it's real. I did not know that this food thing was a legit thing. So let me tell you, in my household, we were having a pizza night every single week. It was Monday pizza night, and what we would do is every week I'd probably jump on Pinterest or something or whatnot, and we just come up with a random recipe. By the way, one of the best recipes that you can get from Pinterest, as far as pizza is concerned, is a chili cheese dog pizza. I know it sounds odd, but trust me, you go on there, you find a recipe for that, make that up, you will not regret it. But we were on a weekly basis, Monday, pizza, 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 and we started getting a little further along into the pregnancy. And I'm a meathead. I love meat. Like I love pizza. I love steaks. I love all that stuff. One Monday, I think it was just actually a traditional pepperoni pizza, maybe. My wife takes a bite and she's like, "Oh no, can't do this. I think I'm kind of feeling that we need to change pizza night to soup night." And I'm like, "What? Soup? No substance. What do you mean we got to change it to soup night?" Here's where you talk about being that supporting husband. It's like, she doesn't mean that you're changing pizza night for her. You're changing pizza night for y'all so that you guys can be one the entire time of the pregnancy. Like, we went from chili cheese dog pizzas, double pepperoni pizzas, this pizza, that pizza, chicken pizza, all that stuff, to chicken noodle soup, tomato soup, anti-inflammatory soup, like all kinds of things that I never thought that I would even know or recognize. But we wound up doing it. That's the first like big thing that it was like, oh, I have to really be supportive here, and I have to give up what I really love for this period and embrace what she loves. Also, my wife didn't really have too many weird cravings. I mean, soup, as odd as it is in the sense of us going from pizza to soup, soup is a normal food. But like, she didn't go through, I want to eat this random like non-food item or anything like that. My wife, she was she went from pizza to soup, and then Verner's ginger ale. And I mean Verner's ginger ale, not any other kind of ginger ale. We went from drinking pretty much anything to she had to have virtually almost a pack, maybe every couple of days of ginger ale. Those were her cravings. Ginger ale, soup. As a supporting husband, you again, you oblige, you give what you can, you give the woman what she wants during pregnancy. You bend over backwards for that woman. Now, I'm not gonna preach to you about being a good husband to your wife, because realistically, you do those things in a marriage anyway. I have a very excellent marriage with my wife, but we're talking about specifically pregnancy, and so that's where we are there. Now let's talk about the involvement with the baby. Man, when you get pregnant, it is so surreal to think that you are about to bring a little human into this world. Like, I made sure as a supporting husband and father to be that I was at every single appointment. We scheduled things around my work schedule to make sure I was at every single appointment. I got to see every single ultrasound. And we had a great doctor who would give us ultrasounds like very, very frequently. So I got to see the progression of like that kid, like growing from this little tiny thing all the way up. And it's so awesome. But being involved with the baby, things that I did. I'm a huge music guy. You guys can hear it in the background. I'm a huge music guy. I play the ukulele. I sing. I dance. Music is my life. When I'm stressed, I go to music. When I'm happy, I go to music. Like that. Like that's what I do when I'm angry. There's a couple songs for that too. Man, I'm a buff. What I would do is I am that dad that would sing not only to the baby, I would play the uke to the baby, and man, it's crazy too how I started playing the uke because we honeymooned in Ireland. If you've never been, get there. Um, and I convinced my wife to allow me to purchase one thing of expense, like something that's expensive. And she said, as long as you're going to put it to use within the next year, we're good with that. And so I just randomly purchased a ukulele because, I had all the fascinations of like playing somewhere over the rainbow and stuff. But man, did I pick that trade up very heavy during this pregnancy because I just kept learning how to play these songs just to be able to sing and play for not only the wife but also um, what would become my son. And I played and I sung and then I began to read. And it's just interacting with the baby, but also letting your wife know just how important she is as well. It's a amazing balance trying to go ahead and really just give all of yourself as the man to them. Like right now, as I sit here, like I said, I got two under two, man, and my pride and joy is within them. And it's not just the kids; it's the wife. Like I am a baby daddy. I am the father to not one but two children, and it is just awesome. Some of the things else that I did during the pregnancy was there was this book, and I don't remember what it is, but I was reading essentially how to handle being an expectant father. And there were some chapters like because it tracks it month for month, month 1 to month 9, which also, by the way, they say month 9, but realistically they don't tell you that it's really 10 months that you are in this whole pregnancy thing. But it tracked it, and like some of the things that it would say you should start seeing both emotionally, physically, within your partner. This book was like perfectly dead on. Like her emotion was dead set each month. Like what she's feeling here, what she's seeing here. Like it was pretty cool. So I was reading, and I learned quite a bit with that. What else did I do during the pregnancy? Yeah, like I said, it's very supportive. I think I got stressed and scared. I think the stress and the scared moments, which is again something that they don't talk about, especially as a dad, is that a woman goes through this. A woman, once she gets to the point where she starts feeling the kicks and feeling the movements and stuff, like that is such a pride and joy. But then you get obsessed with it. And so when you have all these moments where you don't feel it, you're like, what's going on? Like, is the child okay? Are they not okay? Like, are we dealing with the miscarriage or the misfortunes? And like, what do you do then? That's the dark side. I think I got really stressed because we had a few of those moments where we just couldn't feel my son moving or kicking around. And we called the doctor a few times. I think we went in a couple times, and it's such a blessing. I tell you, the technology in today's world, like to be able to get in there and get an ultrasound right away and like hear the heart beat and everything. It's like it's the most rewarding, but the most stressful thing that you can go through. And as a man, as a father, you don't really get to show your stress level, and that's what the basis of this episode is about. It's like I'm telling you guys how stressed I was, but I have to sit there and be strong for my wife. Because if something has happened, think about all women. Women are actually carrying these babies. They're almost always going to assume that it was something with them that caused any kind of issues with the child. So as a man, you kind of have to sit back there, be supportive, kind of have to internally deal with all that stress. And that's what I did. I was there for her, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm glad that everything was good, but those are things that they don't talk to you about. You know what else that they don't talk to you about is we took a lot of the pregnancy classes, and they give you all these different ideas how you can birth, all the medications you can take. But as the supporting person, like the husband, all the things that you can do in labor to help ease some of the pain and everything that's going on for your wife. Well, I tried that, and we'll cover that. I think also during the pregnancy phase, a guy deals with a lot of stress of just becoming a father in general, because we as men we have this "it's about us" kind of mantra. Like, we have to be strong, we have to be like brash, we gotta be able to succeed at everything that we do. And fatherhood is like very stressful when you're dealing with these kind of things. Like, for instance, like the statistics of how many fathers walk out on their kids. It's like, you sit here and you say all the time you're never going to be that person, but then you kind of sit back and think, like, what caused that? Like, how can you ever get to that point? And you start questioning whether or not you can even do it. Like, can you be a father? Can you be the person that supports a little human and maintain the love within your marriage, maintain the order within the household? And it's crazy. So for all those men, I challenge you to find you obviously a partner that you can communicate all this with and talk with. Like me, I grew up like in not the greatest circumstances. And I grew up with a lot of the drama of back and forth between the parents, and then one parent not being inside the household for a very long time of my life. And it makes you think, like, oh my gosh, am I destined to go down that same route? I can tell you I'm not, obviously, but I got a partner that allows me to communicate. I got a partner that actually really enjoys communicating any of these concerns. I have a great support system and family. And I tell you, that's another thing that fathers or soon to be fathers stress out about, is that growing statistic of being a father, staying a father. Are you a good enough father? Like, you look at your upbringing, did you have a father? Man, again, something that men can't really talk about, but it's a growing thing. Expectations of when the baby arrives and how to prepare for that. So we're now toward the end of the pregnancy, and it's like, all right, baby's supposed to be here. Baby's supposed to be here at this time. This is the due date. And what all do we need? Well, for us, we got pets, get pet care taken care of. Something that you really don't think about that much because you're just so excited about a baby, but get pet care taken care of. You need a hospital bag. Gentlemen, you're going to be sleeping on a very rough hospital couch. And it's not to minimize anything that the woman's going through, but you do got to think about that, because guess what? If you're a stressed out husband or baby's father, then you're going to be more stressed when you ain't feeling well, when you're sleeping on that couch and your back hurts and your neck hurts and you got all these aches and pains, because you ain't allowed to complain about it, because guess what? Any ache and pain that you're feeling, don't compare anything to what these women are feeling and dealing with. So, get your hospital bag packed, pillows, covers, snacks, chargers, and that's just stuff that I need. Any and everything that your partner needs, make sure that that's covered, taken care of. Now, it was a lot easier the first time because I didn't have a kid to then have to figure out what I was going to do in that situation. But it is something that if you have multiple kids, childcare, I had to do that for my second kid. Had to get childcare for my first because the hospitals don't allow the kids to be there staying overnight or be there for any of this pregnancy process, this labor process that we're going to talk about. So those are things that you got to really think about. Get right with God. And yeah, I will continue to tell you, I'm a believer in Christ. But get right with God. If you don't know him, man, he can, I mean, he is the greatest, but he can take away so much of your stress, so much of the bad things that you're thinking about. Like, what if this and what if that? Get that what if out of your head and get right with him. Because all I can think about once we finally get to the labor and delivery is like, there's all this talk about what if this happens with the baby? What if this happens to the baby? Like, there's nothing I can do, and I can tell you this, and you can call it selfish, but I mean, God designed it this way. God said, put him number one, put your spouse number two, and put your kids, your family number three. And for me, I'm up here like everybody's like, what if this, what if that about the baby? I'm like, what if this, what if that about my wife? What do you do if you get in a situation that you got to choose? Man, it's hard. Get right with God, fellas. So, going back to the classes, man, we took a lot of pregnancy classes, and one of the things that they specifically tell you that is helpful in relieving some of the stress during labor and delivery is telling jokes. And my wife typically tells me I'm funny. Now, maybe she tells me that, to make me feel good, but I think I'm a pretty funny guy. So I'm sitting there and we're finally at labor and delivery, and I am the support person, and she's got her mother as a support person. And I think I go to tell a joke. And she looks at me and she says, "You're not even funny." And man, that hurt me. That hurt me because I'm like, we practiced this. I did all this stuff, and it's like the one thing that I was relying on to try to ease some of your pain. You said, "Nah, not today. You're not even funny." Um, Something else to talk about, the expectations of when the baby arrived is that we had a due date and she went past the due date. And that gets scary because you're like, what's going on in there? We wound up dealing with induction. And induction is scary. It's a whole nother set of drugs that you gotta have pumped into the woman, and a whole long process of dealing with that. And the ebbs and flows of like the blood pressure and the heart rate, and are you progressing? Like that's a whole thing. But her labor and delivery, man. As I mentioned, I was a support person, so was her mother. And women have this thing where they really do like their mothers being there. Now, that's not me speaking for all women because I know specifically and personal experience that some don't. But it kind of it bugged me initially because as the husband, as the father, I took it initially as I'm not strong enough, or I'm viewed as not strong enough to be able to be there and be the support for my wife. She needed her mom, someone that's stronger. And it bugged me. And like, I did everything during labor and delivery. Like, anytime there was a question, I don't care. I'll go ask. Like, I'll go get this nurse. I'll go get this doctor. Like, I stay up. I do this. Like, if you need this, okay, I'll go get you these ice chips. I'll go do all that. But there was a moment, I think, in the middle of the night, I finally got me some shut eye. And that was what was highlighted as a negative, is that like, oh, this was happening with my wife, and I was finally getting some shut eye, but it was viewed in a negative connotation. And that's something that as a support person, as a husband, really hits hard because it's like, man, like I tried to do everything to be perfect, and I still wasn't. Like, I wasn't funny, and I wasn't there through every single moment of stress, and that hurts. That's something that, again, baby fathers can't talk about realistically, because nothing that we're going through is going to compare to what they're going through. Like, we don't have to deal with those body changes and pushing out a watermelon through a part of our body, man, and hoping that you can get things back together. We don't have to go through those rational emotions, but yeah, we do. We have the emotions. As a husband and a father, I have to sit there and see my wife go through the emotions, knowing that I can't do anything about it. I have to see all the body changes and what kind of stress that brings upon her, and I can't do anything about it. I have to then support her for the body changes, which I love to do, but know that she's just thinking that I'm only doing it just to be nice and tell her what she wants to hear, as opposed to being genuine, which is untrue. But as a husband, as a father, you don't really get to differentiate or prove that this is what you're doing. So it's hard. It's hard being a support person. And also it's hard when you're not the only support person, because, like, then you wonder if you're good enough in that realm, in that aspect. Now, this isn't crapping on her mother being here, because guess what? I actually was super happy that she wound up being there. Um, she was there for the moment where I got shut eye. She was there when it came time to push, and we both were able to grab a leg and guide. We were able to pray a decent amount. We had great conversation, and it took a lot of stress off of my wife. And so, hey, again, us men with our egos, with our pride, like, if your woman wants an additional support person in that room, hey, get over it, deal with it. It's not about what you need. It's not about um, your lack of strength or anything like that. It's about what she needs, and what she needs, she knows more about it than we probably will ever know about it. Man, the things you can see. I mean, obviously, I watched the entire birth of my son and my daughter, and that was a time. That was you don't really prepare yourself for what that looks like, but I did. Oh, it was a beautiful thing with my son. With my daughter, there was a stressful moment. There's this thing called shoulder dystocia. Women know about it. Not all men really get to experience it, but man, I got to experience that. And I watched a child come out and is completely purple. I watched my wife get repositioned and um, having to really force the child out. I watched the child for a minute not crying, look purple. Like, I mean, I'm describing it to you so you can imagine what I'm thinking right there. Eventually, she starts crying, but I watched that happen. My wife actually doesn't get to see that happening, because she's coming from downstairs, so she's not, and she's focused on the pain. Man, I watched that happen, and where I was so active, I was so involved with, like, holding and carrying and being around my son when he was born. My daughter, I wasn't. I was distant. And this was something I didn't communicate initially with my wife. I was distant, and I was just letting everybody know that she was here and whatnot, but I was distant. And my wife eventually tells me that it bugged her that I was distant, and I had to explain to her what I saw, what I just described to you guys, and the doctor happens to be there and also explains what it is that I was seeing. And it made my wife sad, because she had no idea, and she felt bad that she was even questioning why I was distant. But it was also scary, because it's like, We had a similar issue with my son, but it wasn't nearly to this level. And it was like, oh, okay. Like me, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I might have a dead kid here. And my wife just went through all this and I'm still might have a dead child here. And that's something that you really can't prepare for. Like, you really, that's why I have this listed as things you can see. A lot of people, a lot of men, you aren't prepared for that. I mean, that's hard enough on a woman trying being a man and you can't really complain about any of it. Like, you have to really internalize the possibility of not having a kid. And then just think about those that actually lose their kid. Like, who? I was, I was hurting. But again, it goes back to having that support in your wife, like being able to communicate with her, like being luckily having a doctor that communicates and is able to explain what it is that I saw, and also explain it to the wife. Because one thing that does is it validates how I was feeling. It also confirms with the wife that, hey, he ain't wrong. This is exactly what he saw, but this is what it was. So then we both get educated on what we're dealing with. I know that was a little heavy. It's a little deep. We'll round off with baby in the first stage. Dads, get ready to feel useless. Sounds cold, sounds callous, doesn't it? Well, it's the truth. Get ready to feel useless. We breastfeed kids. Kids, they have no use for their dad early on. Like, all they want is to latch on, eat, and sleep. And when they're in your arms, they just cry, cry, cry. And then when they go to their mother's arms, they are good because they know what they're going to get. Get prepared to feel useless. It is not a personal attack from the kid. It is simply the mother has what they need at this time. Stay the course. Be there. Don't get depressed. Don't deal with your own level of postpartum, because you got to be the support for them to deal with postpartum. And that postpartum is a legit thing for women, man. Like, they're again worried about what just happened with their bodies. If it's ever gonna go back to the way it was, the stretch marks are a thing. They're downstairs, like, they're worried about all of those things. And then there's the depression. It's about um if they're gonna be a good mom. It's the constant up and down, because there's this thing called cluster feeding, and man, they just feed, feed, feed every hour on the hour, and it's like, you can't get stressed. You got to get up. You got to take care of them, because that is your job as a mother. And like, try being a dad. I mean, you got to get up too. You got to support the mother, and you got to deal with the stress of the lack of sleep, or the stress of not feeling like they're doing enough, or they're being able to take care of the kids. Or um, there is the aspect of how can you help as the husband. There was really nothing that I can do at all. Like, my wife needed me, and there was nothing that I can do. Like, they'll lash out at you because there ain't nothing that you can really do. They'll expect you to, um, they'll expect you to understand, but you can't really understand. But you just got to be there. So get ready to feel useless for a little while. It happens. Now my bond with my kids are great. My wife is great, but I stayed the course. A lot of men won't stay the course. Be prepared for that postpartum. Be prepared to battle uselessness. Be prepared. If there's something else that you don't think about, this is a parent's thing. This ain't even a baby father thing, a baby daddy's thing. Is be prepared to deal with the shift from how are you to how is the baby. Once you have a baby, everybody cares about that baby. Everybody wants to hold the baby. Everybody wants to see the baby. Everybody wants to know how the baby's doing, and that don't stop for a very long time. Like, you get a lot of messages or phone calls about how's the baby doing this, that, and the more. And like, it's not a personal attack against you, but there is a lot less of how are you. People aren't really thinking about how you're doing. People aren't thinking about the stresses that you're dealing with. People are thinking about how's the baby, how's the baby, how's the baby. Be prepared for that. Because you may not think that sounds like anything that bugs you. Trust me, it'll bug you. Yeah, it'll bug you. So be prepared for that. And then finally, the ratio 50-50. That's a dangerous thing. That is never a thing. The term 50-50 means that, like, I'm going to do half, you're going to do half. Just like in a marriage, it is never 50-50. Sometimes it is 100-0, 99-1, 79-21. Like, sometimes you got to do it all and they have to do nothing, or they're incapable of doing nothing. Same thing goes for the baby. It might just not be your day, and you can't give any more than the 3 or the 6%. Your partner's job is to fill in that additional 97 or 94%. Like, get out of your head that 50-50 is a thing. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to sleep this amount of hours. I'm going to sleep this half hour. You're going to sleep this half. No, that ain't how it works. Like, you will give all of yourself to being a baby daddy. You will give all of yourself to be a husband. That's what your job is. It's not 50-50. It's, what do you need from me today? And that's not a sarcastic, what do you need? That is a, oh, okay, cool. I can only give 17% today. Great. As long as you give everything that you can give, your partner will make up the rest. God designed it to be that way. God gives you your partner to say, hey, where you fall short, I got you. Where she falls short, I got her. She got you. Those are things that you got to embody as a baby daddy, as a father to children. Stay the course. Say, I got you. Be there. Be involved. Be the support person. Get rid of the ego. Get rid of the pride. Get rid of it's about me, because it ain't. You're going to feel useless at times. But you got this. And I know you got this, because guess what? I got this. And I've been doing it. As I said before, this is Topic of Beast. Today's episode was entitled Baby Daddy. If you guys do take a listen to it, or want to talk, or want to hear something else covered, shoot me a comment. I'll cover it. I'll answer everything. Positive, negative, I don't care. I just need some feedback. But I'm going to look to come at you probably once a week, probably around that 1:45 time, which is where we started today. And we'll cover a rash of topics. I'm a huge fantasy football guy as well. I cover football in lengths. I cover God in lengths. I can talk to you about the bourbon. I can talk to you about essentially anything, clearly. Baby daddy. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you thought of this. If you got any pointers, I'm here. Until next time, this is Red with Topic of Beast.